I wanted a child. So I chose Ryan. We had a 7-day romance in Hawaii. At the end of those 7 days, I left a bank card on the nightstand and walked away in style, heading back to my country. 3 years later, after working behind the scenes for so long, I made a high-profile switch, becoming a hot mom influencer with a cute kid. The day after my followers broke 10 million, my villa was surrounded by a group of men in black. The mysterious ruler of H City, the rumored richest man, kicked open my door. You really pulled a keep the kid, ditch the dad move. Huh? Chapter 1. I wanted a child. So I chose Ryan, because he had the face of a top-tier Chinese heartthrob, stayed in 5-star hotels, and at a restaurant. I overheard him on a work call, sharp, intelligent, totally on point. I spent half a month getting close to him, staging all kinds of coincidences. Finally, after 2 weeks, I walked into his room. Ryan's skills fully lived up to that face. Slightly tipsy, every sensation was magnified. I've never been good with alcohol, and there I was, looking up at this man towering over me. I gave a toothy grin, my eyes curving like crescents, and opened my arms to him. He reached out for something on the nightstand, but I stopped him. No need, I'm on the pill. His expression froze for a second, then he grabbed my waist hard, almost viciously. You really are something else. A damn seductress. Chapter 2. I stayed with him on the Hawaiian island for 7 days. A full 7 days, most of which we spent holed up in the hotel. Every morning, I'd wake up in his arms, opening my eyes to that god-tier face. As if personally crafted by Niwa herself, I reached out to touch his skin, tracing the contours of his features with my fingertips. That tall, defined nose, those stunning eyes, that razor-sharp jawline. I got more and more excited the longer I looked. In my mind, I was already imagining what our future child would look like. Boy or girl. Either way, they'd be drop-dead gorgeous. Maybe the look in my eyes was too obvious. Because he smirked. What are you thinking about? I smiled too, and slowly let my fingers wander down. I'm thinking, having a face like this show me passion. It's the ultimate sensory pleasure. In a flash, he flipped over and grabbed my wrist. His long, well-defined fingers slipped into my hair and suddenly clenched the back of my head. Chapter 3. After we'd had enough fun in the room, we'd go out and enjoy the view. On the island beach, the sea breeze lifted the hem of my dress. He came up behind me, bare-chested, his hot, firm muscles pressing against my back. This man's body? Sinfully sexy. Of course, I wasn't the only woman who noticed. While he stepped aside to take a phone call, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed foreign beauty tried to hit on him. He waved her off and came right back to me. I laughed. You really are a natural butterfly magnet, he said. If I wasn't, how else would I have attracted you? I tilted my head and noticed that Blonde was still eyeing Ryan like a snack. That ignited my competitive streak. So I lowered my head and left a bright lipstick kiss right on his chest. Then I looked up at him, eyes glistening with heat. You're mine, only mine. His gaze darkened, his breathing quickened. That day, we didn't make it back to our fancy hotel. We ducked into a nearby motel instead. The walls were paper thin. I had to bite down hard on my lip just to keep the sounds from escaping. Ryan's voice turned raspy, a lazy nasal undertone in it. Clara, don't hold back. Chapter 4. 7 whole days of heated, entangled passion. After those 7 days, my assistant had already booked my flight home. Just as the itinerary was confirmed, Ryan came over with a bottle of red wine and 2 glasses. I was wearing his shirt, my pale thighs exposed, my slender body sunk into the sofa. I locked my phone screen and tossed it aside. Leaning back, his shirt unbuttoned just enough to reveal a generous glimpse of skin, he poured wine into a glass. I reached out to take it, but he leaned in close instead. One hand gripped my neck, the other held the wine glass. He took a sip, then kissed me, letting the sweet, rich red wine flow straight into my mouth. My cheeks burned with heat. After the breath-stealing kiss, he pulled back slightly, then poured the rest of the wine onto my body. The white shirt was instantly stained red, looking wickedly seductive, almost sinful. I thought, well, it's the last night anyway. Might as well go wild one more time. So I pulled him in for a kiss. Chapter 5. That night, while Ryan was fast asleep. I slipped out of the room, leaving a bank card on the nightstand. My assistant had already parked the car downstairs, waiting. 2 hours later, I boarded the plane back home, saying goodbye to everything here. Everything went smoothly. That same month, my period never came. I took a test, 2 lines. Overjoyed, I packed my things and flew to Country B to focus on the pregnancy. 10 months later, I gave birth to a stunning little princess. My parents finally got their long-awaited golden granddaughter and stopped meddling in my career. But 2 years later, my mom unintentionally posted a short video of the baby online. It blew up, millions of likes overnight. I immediately smelled opportunity. So, I made a bold pivot from jewelry brand owner to hot mom influencer with a cute kid. In just 2 months, I racked up over 10 million fans. And then everything went sideways. Chapter 6. Emma is just over 2 years old now, with a chubby, round little face and a mischievous, charming personality that wins everyone over. The video my mom posted blew up out of nowhere. It totally caught me off guard. But this year, business hasn't been great. With the rise of short-form video platforms, a lot of companies jumped on the trend and thrived. My assistant even consulted a fortune master, who said this would be a golden opportunity. My company sells jewelry and fashion, mainly targeting women. If I could establish myself as a hot mom online, sales would be the least of my worries. As for Emma's biological father, I never looked into his background. I didn't want any unnecessary emotional entanglements. To me, it was just a passionate fling. He probably forgot about it just as quickly, and even if he did remember and came looking for me, I figured I'd just write him a check. I've got money, tons of it. What I didn't expect was that he had more. And he didn't want my money. He wanted my life. Chapter 7. The night I hit 10 million followers. I got drunk alone at home out of sheer joy. Emma was staying over at my mom's, so I celebrated this historic moment by myself. I drank too much and ended up passing out on the living room sofa. Early the next morning, I was jolted awake by my phone ringing like crazy. Head pounding from the hangover, I reached for my phone, which had fallen to the floor. It was my assistant calling. Over a dozen missed calls. What could be so urgent? Frowning, I picked up. The moment the call connected, my assistant's panicked scream blasted through the speaker. Boss, run. I blinked, confused. We weren't in debt or anything, but before she could say anything else, the gate to my villa was rammed open by a damn bulldozer. The shock sobered me up halfway. I ran out barefoot and saw dozens of men in black suits completely surrounding my villa. The bulldozer that busted down my gate had also destroyed the succulent garden I'd worked so hard on. I still didn't know what the hell was going on, but I, Clara, a woman who's stared down chaos before, wasn't about to be intimidated. Barefoot and hair like a bird's nest, I marched outside and shouted, "Who the hell are you people? I'm calling the police. This is a law-abiding country. What? You think you're above the law?" But then, from behind the bulldozer, stepped out a tall, lean man in a sharp black suit. Well, normally sharp. Now his hair was a mess, and his shirt under the jacket was half unbuttoned. He looked like he hadn't slept all night, like he'd spent the whole time simmering in rage, just to show up at my door like this. The moment our eyes met, my knees nearly buckled. He let out a cold, mocking laugh. "Clara, go on. Run some more." Chapter 8. I wanted to run, but my legs had gone soft. I literally couldn't move. The call was still connected when my assistant's phone rang again on the other end. She screamed, "Boss, that guy you hooked up with in Hawaii? He's the head of the Fu family in H City. He found out you ran off pregnant with his baby. He was waiting at your parents' place last night and this morning. He already took Emma. Boss, run. If he kills you, who's gonna pay my salary?" The head of the Fu family in H City. That name was no stranger to anyone who hadn't heard of the legendary Fu family. Especially him, the man who rose to power in the past 2 years. The one who had never shown his face on social media. I looked at the man standing in front of me. Gone was the doting lover from the Hawaiian island 3 years ago. The man before me now was burning with fury, on the verge of tearing me apart with his bare hands. Mr. Fu. My voice trembled. Ryan stepped forward, crushing my shattered succulents underfoot, and stopped right in front of me. What a move, keep the baby. Ditch the father. Huh? I didn't mean. Oh, is there anything you wouldn't dare to do? Chapter 9. I looked at the men surrounding my entire villa, and from my assistant's voice on the phone, I already knew Emma had been taken. And him? He was Ryan. Like hell I could run, still hazy from the hangover, now scared half to death. Even a steel-bodied queen like me went limp. I slumped weakly against the doorframe and hurried to apologize. I'm sorry, Mr. Fu. I know I was wrong. Ryan let out a cold laugh. He tugged up his pants slightly and crouched down in front of me, grabbing my face and forcing me to look at him. Clara, for what you did. Sorry isn't going to cut it. At that moment, a neighbor passed by on their morning jog. After all, this was a high-end neighborhood, and even with a bunch of bodyguards in black suits, no one was really scared. Some were even tiptoeing to peek inside. I was a young, beautiful, unmarried woman raising a kid alone and living in a mansion. The maids in the community had already been whispering that I was some rich man's kept woman. Now, with Ryan pulling this kind of dramatic scene. Great, rumors confirmed. To avoid becoming the next gossip headline of the entire neighborhood, I reached out and clutched Ryan's pant leg, looking up at him with pleading eyes. Mr. Fu, President Fu, young Master Fu, please. I'm begging you. I messed up. This is on me. You can do whatever you want with me. Just, can we talk inside the house, please? If he left all cool and unbothered, I'd be the one stuck here getting judged by everyone. He might not care about dignity, but I do. Ryan also noticed the crowd starting to gather at the gates. He looked back at me cowering beside him and let out a laugh. What? Afraid of being embarrassed now? I didn't answer. I just shifted slightly, using his body to shield myself from the gawking stares. Ryan raised a brow, grinding his teeth as he whispered low enough for only me to hear. Oh, so now you care about your reputation? When you dumped me and bailed with a bank card, I was the one humiliated. He said, Clara, this is what you deserve. Excuse me? That's what he said. But still, he took me inside. Only, it wasn't my house. It was his. Chapter 10. Where Ryan lived, couldn't even be called a house. As the head of the Fu family, his private residence was one of the city's most exclusive penthouses, 2 whole floors combined into one atop a central skyscraper. Massive floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city's skyline. And somehow, in the middle of the insanely expensive downtown, he even had an infinity pool. It was the kind of luxury normal people couldn't even imagine. The men in black didn't follow us in. Ryan sat on a sleek black leather sofa, staring at me with eyes full of contempt. I knew I'd messed up. No normal man could tolerate being used and abandoned, let alone him, the man who stood above everyone else. So I did my best to look humble and sincere. I kept my head low, my voice soft, hoping he could sense my remorse. Before he could say anything, I bowed slightly, bringing out the same attitude I used to suck up to high-end clients back when I first started my business. President Fu. I didn't know who you were back then. If I'd known, even with 100 borrowed guts, I wouldn't have dared mess with you. I kept my head down, catching a glimpse of his face from the corner of my eye, still pitch black, like a thundercloud about to strike. Clearly, I wasn't groveling hard enough. Privately, I knew families like his placed huge importance on bloodlines. Sure, my family had a bit of money, but compared to the Fu Empire, we were nothing. He was furious. I figured it was because I had stolen the Fu family's heir, and leaving a bank card on the nightstand. That had definitely cut into his pride. Men like him were the ones who left the card behind, told others to get lost. I had crossed the line, his bottom line. Chapter 11. Seeing him stay silent, I couldn't help but worry. What if he did something to Emma? So I simply knelt beside his feet, hands clasped, pleading desperately. As much as I hated to admit it, in the eyes of the Fu family, Emma was nothing but an illegitimate child. If the truth got out, it would taint their name with scandal. And now that Emma had become a 10 million follower baby online, they definitely think I planned it all, trying to use her to climb the ladder, to avoid a public mess. I figured they might actually take action against both me and Emma. Just the thought made me rush to explain myself. Mr. Fu, I promise. I would never use the child to threaten you. I really had no idea who you were back then. I never planned to come back and dump the kid on you, never even dreamed of letting her have anything to do with the Fu family. Please. I swear to keep this a secret. I'll take her far away from you and from the fuss, forever. My tone was soft, full of sincerity. I even forced out a few tears, blinking pitifully. Honestly, I could have auditioned for film school with this performance, but to my surprise, the more I talked, the darker Ryan's expression became. His face was stone cold, eyes stormy. I could even see the tension in his jaw. He was grinding his molars. I didn't get it. Why was he still so angry? Thinking hard, I guessed maybe what truly bothered him was me leaving that bank card behind. Maybe his ego needed to get even, to restore his pride. So I tried a different approach. I forced a smile. I really shouldn't have just left you with a bank card like that. I realized how disrespectful I was. And just like that, his expression shifted a little. My heart lit up. I was on the right track. Like a bootlicker, I scooted closer, playfully tapped his leg with my fist. Voice sickeningly sweet. Actually, it should have been you who threw a card at me and told me to scram. I swear, if you toss me a card now, I'll run so fast you'll see smoke. But before I could even finish, he shoved my hand away. Didn't let me touch him again. His face darkened. He didn't explode. But the silence was more terrifying than yelling, like the calm before a storm. Clara, he said coldly, you've gotten even more shameless than you were 3 years ago. Huh? Chapter 12. How was I shameless? Okay, fine. Maybe keeping the baby and ditching the dad was a little shameless. But it's not a capital crime. Just as I was about to act like one of those pitiful concubines in dramas and beg for forgiveness, Ryan's phone rang. I wanted to say more, but the sharp look he shot me instantly shut me up. I sat there like a good girl, waiting for him to finish the call. I had no idea who was on the other end, but whatever they said, it made his face even darker. When he hung up, he stood up, glanced at me coldly, and said, "Stay put. Don't even think about playing games, or else." He didn't finish the sentence, just gave a cold snort, turned around, and stormed off. I watched him walk out and slam the high-end, top-of-the-line security door shut. I just sat there in a daze, then flopped down onto his ridiculously expensive wool carpet, rolled over, and shouted up at the ceiling, "What kind of freaking mess is this?" Chapter 13. Before I was brought here, they'd already taken my phone. I could move freely around the house, but I had no way of contacting the outside world. I had no idea how Emma or my parents were doing. Even though I'd pissed Ryan off, I knew my best bet right now was to lay low, not stir up trouble, and wait for him to come back and deal with me after whatever he was handling. But I was seriously worried about Emma. They say rich families have feuds as deep as the sea, and Emma, our sweet, innocent, pure little 2-year-old, what would happen if she got dragged into that mess? How would she ever grow up to be a bright, carefree little flower if her childhood gets crushed by all this drama? Even idol dramas say rich kids end up with emotional trauma. Sob, sob, sob. Not our Emma. She deserves better. Chapter 14. For Emma's sake, I decided not to sit around and wait for doom. So I snuck upstairs and found his study. The computer inside had a password. I paused. Maybe it was his birthday? But what was his birthday? I sat in front of the screen, racking my brain. I remembered that back in Hawaii, I once peeked at his ID. He was a Scorpio. After a few moments of blurry memory hunting, I pieced together a possible date. Wrong password. Maybe it was another important date. But what other important date would he have? I couldn't think of anything, so I started digging. I went to his bookshelf, of course. It was massive, a whole wall lined with shelves, and every single book looked expensive. As I searched, I murmured under my breath, Amit Ba, please forgive me, as if that might lessen my karmic debt. I kept looking for a while until finally, nestled among all those pricey volumes, I found a box. It looked like it had just been opened, not even locked. My instincts screamed, this is important. I hesitated. You're not supposed to touch stuff in rich people's houses. But for Emma, I decided to take the risk. Chapter 15. I opened the little box. To my surprise, it didn't contain anything expensive. Just a simple notebook. a sunflower-shaped hair clip, and a pale purple handkerchief. I flipped to the first page of the notebook. It read, March 12th, 2011. This was the first time I saw her. Oh my God. So Mr. Cold, High and Mighty Ryan was the secret crush type? I didn't dare keep reading. What if he found out and decided to kill me to shut me up? But I did remember that date. I tried entering 110312 into the computer. It actually worked. Hands clasped. I mentally thanked the mystery girl from his diary. I carefully put everything back where I found it, then logged into Ryan's computer. I opened the short video platform. My assistant was still managing the company account, and it just so happened to be the daily upload time. She had posted a video from our pre-filmed stash. None of our fans knew that the cute baby and hot mom they adored were basically hostages now. I took the chance to look up some news about Ryan and quickly learned a lot more about him. There wasn't much about him online. As the eldest son of the Fu family, he was nothing like those spoiled rich kids in the social scene. Before taking over the Fu empire, he'd kept an incredibly low profile, practically invisible. It wasn't until 2 years ago that he took the reins from his father, and even now, he rarely appeared on social media. Our industries had zero overlap, which was probably why I'd never paid attention. I never realized that the current head of the Fu family was that Ryan, the one I casually hooked up with in Hawaii. Who would have thought? The random hottie I picked on a whim turned out to be that big of a deal. Honestly, even I have to say it. Damn, this reckless little brat really hit the jackpot. Chapter 16. Even though I couldn't contact my parents, judging from what I saw online, nothing about Emma had been exposed yet. Watching the follower count on our account continue to grow day by day gave me a bit of relief. With that many fans, the Fu family wouldn't dare act rashly, for now. Still recovering from a hangover and all the chaos today, I noticed the sky getting dark. Ryan still hadn't returned. I grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge, then lay down on the couch and fell asleep. I didn't know how much time passed. I vaguely sensed someone near me, but my eyelids were too heavy, I couldn't open them. So I let myself be carried. I was brought into a room. Maybe I was too drowsy, but for a moment, I couldn't tell dream from reality. As I was laid down on a bed, I let out a silly little giggle, reached up and tugged the collar of the person holding me, pulling them down toward me. With a drunken tone, I murmured, "He, handsome guy, let me touch you." I clearly felt the person above me freeze, but since he didn't pull away, I assumed it was a dream and got bolder. I tugged open the front of his shirt, slipping my hand inside. My fingers brushed over firm, sculpted abs, an 8-pack with perfect definition, and I let out a satisfied sigh. Just as I was about to really enjoy myself, that familiar, ice-cold voice dropped like a hammer. Clara. Chapter 17. Like the Grim Reaper calling my name, his voice instantly shattered any trace of sleep. I opened my eyes and met Ryan's furious gaze. Eyes practically blazing. My soul nearly left my body. I tried to sit up, but he pushed me back down by the shoulder. He loomed over me, pinning me with his gaze. I tried to struggle, but he grabbed my wrists, locking me to the bed. Panic surged through me. He scoffed coldly, "You really haven't changed. Still such a perv." I tried to shake free, but he held both my wrists in one hand like it was nothing. His strength completely overpowered me. I had no choice but to act soft. I immediately softened my expression, fluttered my lashes at him. "Only because it's you that I'm this into it." He didn't reply, just stared at me. His face stayed stern, brows furrowed. "Clara, I'm warning you, behave." But even if his face didn't change, I could hear his breathing grow heavier. His eyes were getting darker. My instincts told me, if I wanted to seduce him right now, it'd be easy. I was wearing a silk nightgown. When I shifted my shoulder slightly, the fabric slid down, revealing a smooth stretch of pale skin. I raised one leg, and the skirt lifted just enough to show my bare, glowing thigh. Ryan. Chapter 18. I called his name, softly, sweetly, using the gentlest tone I'd ever mustered in my life. As expected, his body stiffened, and his eyes grew even darker. "Trying to seduce me again?" Ryan gave a low laugh. I smiled too. "This isn't seduction. This is just emotions running deep. We were both adults, and he was Emma's father. If a little seduction could buy safety for me and my daughter, I had no complaints. He grabbed my waist. Then show me, he said, voice husky. Show me how deep those feelings run. Chapter 19. When I woke up the next morning, Ryan was already gone, but on the nightstand, he'd left a secondary gold credit card, along with a note, a little reward. I couldn't help but laugh. Clearly, he was holding a grudge, getting back at me for the time I left him a bank card and disappeared 3 years ago. I picked up the card and examined it, then stuffed it into my pocket. Come on, who turns down free money? And anyway, I earned it with hard labor. Even though he gave me the card, he still didn't let me leave the house. While he was out, I snuck into his study again. First, I opened his computer and checked the news. No headlines about a Fu family love child or anything of the sort. Only then did I finally relax. I sat in his office, taking in the decor. It really did fit his whole aloof CEO persona. I stood and looked around, wondering if rich people actually had secret rooms like in TV dramas. No secret room, but my hands found that box again. Okay, sure, spying on someone's private stuff is kinda unethical, but he basically tore apart my whole life. So me poking into a little of his business? Fair game. I sat cross-legged on the floor and opened the notebook inside the box. Chapter 20. The diary started on March 12th, 2011. On that day, 16-year-old Ryan met a girl. He wrote that when he was a kid, he'd gotten seriously ill and had to take hormone medications after surgery, which made his weight shoot up to 180 pounds. His family kept a low profile. No one knew he was the eldest son of the ultra-wealthy Fu family. So at school, he was subtly but constantly isolated. He was always alone, though he dressed well. That only made him a target. A group of kids, lazy in class and connected to thugs from other schools, started picking on him. One day after school, they cornered him in an alley, demanding money. Ryan didn't dare fight back. He couldn't outrun them, couldn't beat them, so he handed over all his cash. After tasting success, those bullies came back for more every day. Then they got greedy. The small change wasn't enough anymore. They began pressuring Ryan to steal money from his parents. He refused, so they beat him up, and it was in that moment, when he was being punched and kicked, curled up on the ground, that she appeared. A whole bucket of food slop came flying down, soaking the bullies in foul mess. Seconds later, a group of guys jumped in and started brawling with the thugs. Ryan, dazed and bruised, was still on the ground when a girl in a school uniform climbed over a wall, grabbed his wrist, and ran. Ryan had no idea what was happening, but that girl, so bright, so full of energy, dragged him out of that dark alley and into the sunlight. She told him she'd seen him being bullied before, but had been too scared to step in. This time, she saw the bullies' rivals nearby and led them into the trap. She threw the slop too. Ryan wrote about her endlessly. He adored her. From afar, afraid that if he ever let on how he felt, he'd scare her away. She was 1 year younger. Their PE classes were scheduled at the same time. Ryan, being overweight, was always left out. No one wanted to play with him, so he always sat alone on a stone bench under the sun, watching others laugh and play. One day, a volleyball was thrown his way. He clumsily caught it and looked up. To see her smiling at him, she asked, "Why are you sitting there in the sun?" Ryan looked at the shady areas. They were all taken by girls. If he went over, he'd probably get shooed away. She must have noticed. She pulled him over to her class area to play ball. When some guys started teasing her about hanging out with the fat kid, she took off her shoe and threw it in someone's face. Ryan said that was the happiest gym class of his life. Chapter 21. He hadn't had much interaction with the girl. She was a year younger. Beautiful, with a great personality. There were always people around her. All he could do was watch from afar, watching his sun shine brighter than anything else. He was greedy and insecure. So many times he wanted to approach her, but her circle of friends always made him retreat. And so, for over a year, their relationship never progressed. I closed the diary quietly. So Ryan, the powerful, untouchable head of the Fu family, had once been a lonely, broken-hearted boy. If I were watching this in a drama, I'd be shouting, He's never forgotten her. He's been searching for her all these years. They're meant to be together. Their love is destined, praised by the world. The perfect golden couple. And me? I'm the scheming side character. The evil woman who used underhanded tricks to get pregnant with a Fu family heir. The one who ruined their fated love. What's worse, my personality's kind of like hers. What if Ryan only got with me in Hawaii because I reminded him of her? Because I was her substitute. The moment I realized that, my whole world felt like it tilted. It hit me hard, and I didn't like it. Chapter 22. Ryan came home earlier than usual today. I had just finished making myself a bowl of noodles when he walked through the door, and locked eyes with me. Just as I was about to dig in, awkwardly, I gave him a smile. After all, this was his house, so I tried to be polite. Want a bowl? I still had my chopsticks in hand, holding a string of noodles. I had zero intention of putting them down, just waiting for him to say no, so I could devour them in peace. But to my surprise, he stared at my bowl for 3 seconds, and then nodded, sat down across from me, took my bowl, and took my chopsticks. Fine, eat, like anyone could stop you anyway. Fuming in silence, I turned around and grudgingly went to make another bowl for myself. By the time I brought it back, Ryan had already finished his, and made no move to leave. I ignored him and focused on eating, but his gaze stayed on me the whole time, making me increasingly uncomfortable, especially after reading his diary today, knowing he still had someone else in his heart. I just couldn't get into it. Even the noodles tasted like sand. I only got through half the bowl before setting my chopsticks down. Mr. Fu, you've probably done a DNA test by now. You know Emma is your daughter. So why are you still keeping me locked up here? What do you want from me? He didn't answer. Instead, he asked back, what do you think? Inwardly, I rolled my eyes. Obviously, I think you're going to kill me. Claim Emma as a secret illegitimate heir, and then find her some picture-perfect stepmom to complete your shiny family. But on the outside, I kept my cool. I plastered on a flattering smile and tried to reassure him. Don't worry, even though Emma is your child, I've never wanted her to fight for any family fortune. I didn't even know you were her father until recently. You can relax, I only want Emma. Just give her back to me, and I'll leave. I won't ever show up in your life again. And when you find someone you do love, I swear I'll keep my mouth shut. I'll even tell people you were pure and faithful to her all along. But the more I spoke, the darker Ryan's expression became. His cold eyes locked on me. Just Emma? Yup. I nodded furiously. Nothing else at all? Right. Nothing. If I get married to someone else someday, you're fine with that? Totally fine. You wish. Ryan suddenly snapped, threw that angry line at me, and stormed into his study, slamming the door shut behind him. I just stood there, stunned. Yup. Capitalists, unpredictable emotional roller coasters. Chapter 23. Ryan stayed in his study until late at night. Before going to bed, I saw he still hadn't come out, so I locked my door. Living without a phone meant I actually fell asleep pretty early these days. But just as I was about to drift off, boom! The door was kicked open. Standing in the ruins of the doorway was Ryan, looking like the freaking Grim Reaper. He was holding the broken doorknob in his hand, looking absolutely furious. Why did you lock the door? I was so scared I curled up in bed, clutching my blanket. F for protection, from you. That made him even angrier. And the result of that anger was, let's just say, the next morning, my back really paid the price. Chapter 24. Early the next morning, he was gone again. I could barely move my aching back, so I soaked in the bathtub for what felt like forever before the pain finally eased. Still in a bathrobe, I walked past the study, and against my better judgment, went in again to look for that diary. I'd only read halfway yesterday. I still didn't know how the story with that girl ended. I pulled out the notebook, sat cross-legged on the floor, and started reading. The latter entries weren't many, still from Ryan's perspective. Turns out, after a year, the girl transferred to another school. At the same time, Ryan's family, having learned he was being bullied, arranged for him to study abroad. Just like that, the two of them parted ways. The next few years of diary entries were filled with ordinary day-to-day things. Every now and then, he'd mention the girl, brief flashes of longing. I didn't have the patience to read everything slowly, so I flipped to the back and skimmed, and saw this line. I can't believe it. I actually ran into her again, just as I was about to read more. Click. The study door opened, and Ryan stood there, in the doorway, panicked. I froze. I hadn't even turned on the light, just relied on the sunlight filtering through the curtains to sneak a peek. Now, with one motion, he flipped on the lights. I looked exactly like a thief caught red-handed. On the 3rd second of eye contact, I knew I wasn't getting out of this. I slammed the diary shut, tossed it aside, and quickly shifted from cross-legged to kneeling, put my hands together, full-on apologetic pose. I'm sorry, I was wrong. What else could I do? I was living under his roof. Emma was still in his hands. I had no choice but to fold. He just stood there at the door, staring at me with a blank expression. I couldn't read him at all, but if it were me, and someone dug through my personal diary, I'd be pissed too. I glanced at the nearby window that wasn't fully closed, wondering if he was going to toss me out of it. Just as I was freaking out, he took a step toward me. Chapter 25. I could only admit defeat. After all, snooping through someone's diary was objectively wrong, so when Ryan stepped toward me, I'd already prepared for the worst. 180 possible outcomes played through my mind. Finally, I just braced myself, opened my arms in full surrender, and yelled, "If you want to kill or punish someone, come at me. Just don't hurt Emma." But the punishment I was expecting never came. When I opened my eyes, Ryan was crouched down in front of me. His expression was calm, gentle even, not a trace of anger. I was stunned. What? Is he so mad he's gone soft in the head? He picked up the diary. His gaze landed back on my face, still warm, still soft. How far did you get? This felt like the calm before a storm. I was so nervous. My voice trembled. I read, to the part where you said you saw her again. I wanted to say I hadn't finished it, but my throat tightened. Then he smiled, and asked again, "So, did it remind you of anything?" I froze inside. What the hell kind of power play is this? Is this some billionaire-level mind game where I'm supposed to guess my own crime? Cautiously, I asked, remind me of what? What, like your list of grudges? Is this where I guess which part of your tragic love story I ruined? Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. You really don't remember anything? When he said that, his gaze changed. There was a shift, like something important had just cracked open, which only made me even more confused. I racked my brain, going full mental storm mode. But in the end, under his expectant eyes, I shook my head. Chapter 26. After I shook my head, Ryan lowered his gaze. His eyes seemed dimmer. He looked down at the diary in his hand, and for a moment, there was something in his expression I couldn't decipher. Even I, as dense as I could be sometimes, could tell something wasn't right. Just as I was about to offer some awkward, token show of concern, he tossed the diary to me casually, then stood up, slipping right back into his usual, commanding self. I stared at the diary in my hands, completely confused. Was he giving it to me because I'd already tainted it? I looked up at him. His gaze landed on me, cold as ever. From today on, he said, "You're free." Chapter 27. After Ryan said those words, he walked away. Back in the bedroom, I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time, deep in thought. Eventually, I got dressed and decided to go home. Passing through the living room, I noticed something on the dining table. My favorite desserts. So that's where he went earlier? To buy those for me? He must have had some feelings for me. He bought me sweets, only to come home and find me reading a diary he wrote for his first love. Obviously, she's more important. So now I've been kicked out. That thought made my nose sting with a sudden wave of sourness. Fine then, I'll go. What's the big deal? I didn't bring anything when he took me. And before he left, he'd already arranged everything I needed for my return. But I took nothing with me. I returned home safe and sound. My assistant was in the middle of supervising workers fixing the front gate. The moment she saw me, she dropped everything and ran up, bawling, "Boss, you're finally back." I'd only been gone a few days, but Ryan had completely cut me off from the outside world. It felt like forever. My parents still didn't know what really happened in Hawaii. Back then, I told them I broke up with a boyfriend and decided to raise the baby on my own. Now, the baby's dad showed up and took Emma. My mom was so stressed she couldn't sleep. She warned me fiercely, "I don't care what beef you had with that scumbag ex of yours. If he dares touch Emma, I'll fight him to the death." I sipped the soup she made while trying to calm her down. "Don't worry, Mom. Even if I have to burn down the entire Fu family, I'll get Emma back." Big words. Sure, but how I was actually going to do that? No clue. I mean, come on, this is the Fu family. I've got a bit of money. Sure, but they're on a whole different level. Still, I was pretty sure Ryan wouldn't hurt Emma. At least, not for now. Which meant I could finally start catching up on work. Emma's social media account kept growing. More fans, more buzz. Sales for our company's products went up with it. But me? I didn't feel happy. Not even a little. Chapter 28. That day, I went with my assistant to discuss a potential collaboration. Our contact was a man who looked polite, refined, and well-mannered, around 40 years old, decent appearance, and seemingly capable at his job. His company wanted to co-develop a new product line with us. The private dining room had just the four of us, me, my assistant, him, and his assistant. The deal was basically sealed. So I poured myself a glass of baijiu. "Boss Song, you're very straightforward. It's an honor to work with you. This toast is for you." I could hold my liquor, even though I'd already had a few. This glass of baijiu didn't faze me. Boss Song looked pretty pleased too. But right after I put down my glass, I saw him exchanging glances with both our assistants. There are always some things in business that can't be said in front of others. I understood. So I let my assistant step out with his. I thought he had something work-related to say. But the moment they were gone, Boss Song slid over to the seat next to mine, leaning toward me. "Miss Clara, what do you think of me?" A subtle alarm bell rang in my mind. But I didn't want to overreact if it was nothing. So I kept smiling. Boss Song is a very successful businessman. He scoffed. "That's not what I mean." Then, clearly tipsy, he grabbed my hand. "I'm talking as a man, not a business partner. From a woman's point of view, what do you think of me?" I knew some things about him. He'd married his college sweetheart, had 2 kids, but divorced a few years ago and lost a good chunk of his assets in the settlement. Still, he'd never badmouthed his ex. He spent money to take care of his kids without complaint. Maybe because I had Emma, too. I naturally let my guard down when it came to men who were good to their children. But this crossed a line. I forced a smile and pulled my hand back. "Boss Song, I think you've had a bit too much to drink." "I haven't." He held his liquor surprisingly well. "Clara, from the moment I laid eyes on you, I knew I liked you. You're single. I'm single. You've seen what I bring to the table. God, I hate guys who use business meetings as a pretext to act like pervs. Wasting my time. Spoiling my mood." I held in my disgust, kept my polite smile, reminding myself that we'd already signed the deal. No need to blow things up, yet. "Boss Song, I'm really not thinking about romance right now." But he got pushy. "You can't say that. You're almost 30, right? And you have a kid. A few years from now, no man's gonna want a woman over 30 with a child. But I like you. That's why I don't mind. I am 28. Thank you very much." I clenched my fists and forced a smile. "No need to worry about me. I can raise my daughter on my own, even if I grow old alone." "Clearly, you're drunk. I'll have your assistant take you home." I stood up, intending to call someone, but he must have caught the rejection in my tone and instantly flipped, his face darkening. "Miss Clara, aren't you a little ungrateful? Do you know how lucky you are I'm even interested in you? You've got some random bastard child. What man would want that? Sure, you've got fans now, but your daughter doesn't even have a father. She'll grow up ashamed of herself." And then he grabbed my hand again, squeezing it with that disgusting leer on his face. "Say what you want about me, I can take it, but mention my daughter? I don't care if it's God himself, he's getting slapped. And with all the crap I've been bottling up lately, everything weighing on me, choking me, the alcohol only gave me more courage. I yanked my hand away and slapped him across the face. You're the damn bastard. Chapter 29. Since I was the one who struck first, Boss Song went straight to the police and filed a report. At the station, my assistant and his assistant were locked in a heated argument. I heard everything outside the door. He was being inappropriate, trying to touch her. That's why he got slapped. His assistant sneered. That's nonsense. Our Boss Song would never do something like that. If you're saying he did, then show us proof. There were no surveillance cameras in the private room. He knew I had no evidence, which was why he was so smug. I looked up at Boss Song, sitting across from me. That slap I gave him had knocked his glasses clean off. He glared at me. Clara, you're finished. This partnership? Cancelled. And my lawyer will be suing you. I'd dealt with men like this before. Normally, I wasn't afraid of trouble. But right now, I just wanted to go home and sleep. I lowered my head and scrolled through my contacts, and saw a number I didn't recognize. It had popped up after I left Ryan's place. I figured it was his. Right now, in this very moment, my gut told me he could make this go away. So I called it. Ring, 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 ring. On the third ring, someone picked up. There was noise in the background. Chatter. The sound of playing cards, probably a private club. I softly said, "Hello?" And instantly, everything on the other end quieted down. No more music. No more jokes. Just silence. Then his voice came, low and calm. "Yeah, I got straight to the point. I'm at XX police station. Someone just called your daughter a bastard." 2 seconds of silence. Then, wait for me. Chapter 30. To be honest, I was pretty anxious before making the call. Would he even answer? Would he actually come? That uneasiness only deepened after he said, "Wait for me." Half an hour later, that tall, imposing man appeared at the entrance of the police station. 2 people followed behind him, his assistant and a lawyer. Boss Song clearly recognized Ryan. The moment he saw him, he completely ignored my existence, slapping on a bootlicking smile as he walked up. "President Fu, what brings you here?" But Ryan's eyes didn't even pause on him. They swept right past, and landed directly on me. After I slapped Song earlier, he tried to fight back. In the struggle, red wine splashed all over me, and my hair was a mess. I must have looked very disheveled. Ryan ignored Song completely and walked straight to me, then reached out a hand. I was the one who called him. No need to play coy. I took his hand and stood up. He looked at me carefully. "Did you get hurt?" I nodded and held out a finger. When I slapped that bastard, one of my fancy nails nearly snapped. Ryan didn't ask anything else. He just turned around and led me out. Boss Song's face looked like he just swallowed a fly. He tried to chase after us and explain, but Ryan's assistant stepped in front of him. "If you have something to say, you can speak with me." My own assistant stayed behind to help clean up. Ryan had already taken me away. His driver was waiting outside. Once we were in the back seat of the car, I finally caught a faint whiff of alcohol on Ryan. He asked, "Where to?" "Home," I said, then thought about it, and added, "My home." He didn't reply, just sat there for a while before giving a soft mem. The driver, understanding the cue, hit the gas without another word. The ride was silent. Ryan had his eyes closed, resting. I turned my head to look out the window. Neon lights flashed outside, casting shadows on his flawless side profile. Rich people like him, they're in another universe entirely. You can't see the money on them, but you can feel it in every tiny movement. That sense of indulgent ease, the kind that only comes after having all your desires met. If I hadn't thrown myself at him back in Hawaii, we probably never would have crossed paths in this life. Maybe he noticed my stare, because he opened his eyes and asked, "What are you looking at?" I smiled. No reason to hide. You're good looking. He chuckled softly, like I'd pleased him. Chapter 31. The rest of the car ride felt lighter somehow. When the driver stopped in front of my place, I turned to Ryan. His face gave nothing away. "Do you have something you want to say to me?" he asked before I could even open my mouth. My hand, which was reaching for the door handle, froze. "Well, you asked for it." So I turned back around, flashing my most charming smile. "Well, when are you going to bring Emma back? She misses her mom. You know, get out." I wasn't even finished, and he cut me off, cold and sharp. Well, damn, what else could I do? I got out, quickly, and muttered under my breath, "You told me to say something, and then tell me to get out?" Classic, two-faced. Back inside, I opened my laptop and finished some work. Then finally went into the bathroom to wash away the exhaustion of the day. Freshly showered and in my pajamas, I returned to my room. As I reached to draw the curtains, I noticed something. Ryan's car was still parked downstairs. The window was half lowered. I couldn't tell if he was looking up at me or not. Probably just handling work. I told myself not to overthink it, so I closed the curtains and got into bed. But no matter how tired I was, I couldn't sleep. Too much on my mind. I grabbed my phone. It was past 2 a.m. I got back up and opened the curtains again. The car was gone. So was he. Of course, he wasn't here for me. Chapter 32. With Ryan stepping in, I didn't have to worry about the outcome. The very next day, my assistant gave me the full update. The deal was still on. Boss Song? Fired by his original company. Even worse, a bunch of dirt from his past came to light. Turns out, his wife left him because he was cheating and using company funds to support his mistress. That whole situation wrapped up beautifully. But before I could even breathe, a new problem showed up. Somehow, somewhere, a rumor started spreading. Suddenly, me, Emma, and Ryan were trending online. People were speculating that the popular mommy blogger's adorable daughter was actually the illegitimate child of a wealthy family. Exactly what I was afraid of had finally happened. I thought the Fu family would care about their reputation, that they'd take action to remove the trending topic. But half a day passed, and still, nothing. I was just about to call Ryan when someone stormed into my office, wearing Valentino heels, a full Chanel suit, and holding a Hermes bag like a weapon. Lee, one of the infamous heiresses, marched in with all the grace of a hurricane. She grabbed the hot coffee from my desk and tried to throw it at me. She missed, and scalded herself. She shrieked, on the spot, "You bitch! You seduced Ryan!" I blinked. "Sorry, who are you?" Now, I'll admit, yes, I did seduce Ryan, but who this woman was, and what gave her the right to come in here yelling like that? I had no idea. She huffed, lifting her chin so high I thought it'd hit the ceiling. "I grew up with Ryan. I'm not like you cheap women. I'm his future fiancé." I raised an eyebrow. Funny, I've known him a while now, and I've never heard anything about a fiancé. Which was true. Back in Hawaii, I made sure he was single before making my move. I might be bold, but I don't mess with taken men. That line must have hit a nerve, because she snapped, "You're just like all the other whores. Thinking that sleeping with Ryan means you get to marry into the Fu family? Let me tell you something, they would never accept trash like you." I ignored her. All I could think about was Emma. People online were already saying she was an illegitimate child with no real background. I was busy gathering evidence, filing police reports. I didn't have the bandwidth to deal with this spoiled socialite. When she lunged at me, my assistant had already called security. She couldn't get close to me, so she started trashing my office instead. I told my assistant calmly, "Note what she breaks, file a police report, make sure she pays full price." Then I turned and left. She tried to grab me one last time, but my assistant bear hugged her leg and dragged her back, while yelling, "Boss, run, I'll handle the aftermath." I nearly face-planted from the second-hand embarrassment. Anyone watching would think I was some princess escaping an assassination attempt in ancient China. Chapter 33. If the Fu family wouldn't handle it, then I would. I reached out to several top-tier media accounts directly, asked them to help me publish a public statement that Emma was not some illegitimate child, that she was not some pawn I used to marry into a rich family. Luckily, a few of those accounts were fans of Emma already, and with the hefty payment I sent them, they jumped on it. They pulled together videos and clips, carefully edited the narrative, and when the video went live, public opinion shifted fast. While the video was still blowing up, Fu Group's official account also posted a statement. There has never been any illegitimate child in the Fu family. Just that one line was enough to crush all the rumors. All the accusations vanished completely. I let out a long breath of relief. Finally, no one would insult Emma anymore. But the relief didn't last long, because I realized something else. The Fu family had denied Emma's existence. My mind instantly pulled up Ryan's face. So, does this mean he doesn't want Emma either? A wave of bitterness surged in my chest. After all, Ryan and I were just a fling. It was me who made the decision to have Emma. If he didn't acknowledge her, I guess I can't blame him. And I won't. Chapter 34. But I didn't stay heartbroken for long. They say women are soft by nature, but once you become a mother, you become steel. Who has time for romance when their child's involved? If the Fu family doesn't acknowledge Emma, then why the hell did they take her in the first place? I'd already hired a private investigator a few days ago to track Ryan. I knew exactly where Emma was. In the Fu family's old estate. I'd hesitated before because of the elders. But now, I didn't care. I changed into something comfortable and headed straight for the mansion. At first, my plan was to walk in through the front gates, upright and dignified, take Emma and leave. But I hadn't even gotten there when I spotted a damaged part of the wall. No one around. So I just climbed in. It was the peak of summer. The courtyard was empty. Plenty of surveillance cameras. Sure, but if I was bold enough to sneak in, did I really care about being seen? I walked right in like I owned the place. Two maids in matching uniforms appeared with tea trays. They saw me, froze for a second. But today's scandal had exploded online. If Emma was living here, they'd definitely recognize me. I got straight to the point. I'm here to see Emma. The girls exchanged a glance. One of them smiled and motioned. Please. This way. She led me through winding, traditional-style hallways. Eventually, we reached a small garden, and even from a distance, I could hear a child's laughter. Emma. The maid gestured that we'd arrived and quietly slipped away. I stepped closer. By the koi pond, I saw Emma, and an elderly woman with silver hair. I recognized her from Fu Family News. Ryan's grandmother. She was playing with Emma. Emma was in a cute traditional dress, her hair in two pigtails, wearing a golden peace-lock necklace. She ran after a butterfly, giggling, then tripped on the grass and fell. The old lady immediately rushed to her, flustered. Oh, my precious little great-granddaughter, don't get hurt. I frowned. This wasn't what I expected. Didn't Fu Group just release a statement denying any illegitimate children? I thought Emma's life here would be harsh, but from what I was seeing, she'd already become part of the family. I stayed in the shadows, watching them play. Eventually, Emma got tired and sat down in the gazebo, sipping a fruity tea the old lady handed her. She pouted. Great-grandma, how much longer until I can see mommy? Ugh, my baby still remembers me. The old woman sighed. Great-grandma wants to see her too. Sweetheart, but your daddy's useless. All this time, and he still hasn't managed to win your mommy back. That caught me off guard. I figured I should stop hiding. I stepped out. Emma saw me and immediately screamed with joy. Mommy! She ran to me. I scooped her up. Then I turned and respectfully greeted the old lady. Mrs. Fu, I apologize for coming uninvited. I just missed Emma too much. She didn't look surprised. Smiling, she motioned for me to sit. Ryan brought you, right? I winced a little, but answered honestly. No. I climbed over the wall. Her face changed. Useless brat. I blinked. Then she added. I wasn't talking about you. I meant my useless grandson. He said he'd take care of this and bring you home. And look what he's done. Still nothing. I was confused. Normally, people would be skeptical when told their grandson had a child with someone. And the Fu family was a prestigious clan. Just like that socialite who barged into my office said, there were plenty of women who wanted to climb into Ryan's bed. So I asked, Mrs. Fu, aren't you afraid I'm just using Emma as a tool to marry into your family? but she just smiled. Other women. Yes. You. No. Huh? I was stunned. She and I barely had any interaction. I'd never saved her from any life-threatening situation or anything. Seeing my confusion, she began to explain. And as she spoke, a memory clicked in my mind. When Ryan was a teen, he got sick. The meds made him gain a lot of weight. He was bullied in school, but he was proud. Never told us. His parents were always working, so no one noticed. Until one day, he came home covered in bruises. We asked what happened. He said someone helped him. He even said he made a friend. I remembered this from Ryan's diary, so none of it was surprising. But then she said, later, that girl transferred schools, and we sent him abroad. He lost the weight, but remained shy, withdrawn, never dated anyone. Then 3 years ago, while traveling in Hawaii, he called me and said he'd seen that girl again. 3 years ago, Hawaii. Wait, that girl? Could it be me? She saw my stunned expression and confirmed, yes, that girl was you. But he told me you didn't remember him. He came back, dejected. I thought that would be the end of it. Until recently, when he told me he found you again, and you two have a child. I didn't believe him. But then, he brought Emma to me, after Ryan's parents passed. It's just been the two of us. The house was so quiet. So when Emma showed up, it felt like a gift from heaven. I was speechless. So Ryan and I, we'd known each other all along? Chapter 35. I tried to recall everything from middle school. Back then, I was 15. Now I'm 28. 13 years have passed. I was always the kind of student who liked helping people, so I helped a lot of classmates. Plus, I didn't really have a deep connection with that chubby kid Ryan wrote about. As for the part in his diary where he said the girl transferred schools, that wasn't me. I hadn't transferred. I just injured my leg while helping someone and took time off school. So, the chubby kid I helped all those years ago really was Ryan? So all this time, I was basically jealous of myself? I hadn't even finished processing it all when Grandma Food cheerfully led me back to rest. She insisted I stay for dinner. Emma had her own princess-style room here. Everyone called her Miss and treated her like royalty. I finally relaxed. Fu family had clearly accepted her. In her room, Emma was thrilled to see me. Mommy! Mommy! You finally came. Great-grandma said you were mad at Daddy and that's why you couldn't come see me. Is that true? I sighed. Didn't deny it. She hugged me tight. Daddy's super handsome, and he treats me really nice. He even got a huge diamond ring and said he wants to marry you. So please stop being mad at him. A proposal? I thought of Ryan's usual cold expression. No way was that guy planning a proposal, right? At dinner, Grandma Fu gathered us all. There were 7 or 8 staff members bustling around with food. As soon as I sat down, she said, I already called that brat. Told him to get his butt over here. He should be here any minute. Now eat. And talk things out after. Soon after, a car engine rumbled outside. Footsteps approached. Ryan walked in wearing a black tailored suit. When he saw me, joy flashed through his eyes, but he quickly masked it. What are you doing here? I smiled. Grandma and Emma invited me. Grandma Fu shot him a look. If you can't speak nicely, then don't speak at all. Under her pressure, he sat down across from me. The whole dinner was awkward, but ever since I realized I was the girl from his diary, I just wanted to laugh. This guy had been playing hard to get the whole time. When we finally finished dinner, Grandma Fu took Emma away with a grin. I turned to Ryan. Show me around? He didn't say anything, but stood up and led me to the back garden. As we walked across the pond pavilion, he finally broke the silence. Grandma told you? I nodded. So why didn't you tell me earlier? He paused. Because I was mad. I didn't say anything. Then he continued, I thought you recognized me in Hawaii. But turns out, you just wanted a baby and ditched me with a damn bank card. I scratched my cheek. Okay, that was on me. So what if I never remembered you? Would you have stopped liking me? He halted, turned to look at me. His eyes were mesmerizing, even during our more intimate moments. I'd often find myself staring into those eyes, completely lost. Now, meeting my gaze, he said seriously, "No, I was just mad. Once I cooled off, I was going to find you." So all that cold shoulder energy these past few days was just him pouting. I asked again, "Then why did your official account post that thing about how the Fu family has no illegitimate children?" I had thought they were disowning Emma, but he said, "Emma is my biological daughter. She's the first and only child of this generation in the Fu family. How could she ever be considered illegitimate?" "Ah, so that's what they meant." Then I asked, "Emma told me you got a huge diamond ring and planned to propose." He didn't deny it, just nodded. My eyes lit up. "Where's the ring?" He gave me a look. "You seem more excited about the ring than about seeing me." He scoffed. "Still mad? So I'm not giving it to you yet." "Absolutely not. I needed that diamond ASAP." So I tiptoed, planted a soft kiss on his lips, then smiled sweetly. "Still mad?" Emotion flickered in his eyes, but then he smirked, stepping closer. "Clara, you weren't nearly this sweet in Hawaii." I flushed. "Sure, I'm bold by nature, but this was the Fu estate. Emma and Grandma were here." As he moved in, I quickly dodged. "Stop, what if someone sees?" But he caught my chin and forced me to look at him. He smiled, dangerously charming. "You didn't notice? There's no one in the garden anymore. Grandma clearly cleared the area for us." Now that he mentioned it, he was right. Not a soul around. I turned bright red. His warm lips pressed against mine. "Let's not waste Grandma's kindness." "Of course." I stayed the night. Of course. My back ached the next morning. Chapter 36. The next morning, I slept in like royalty. When I finally woke up, I reached for my phone, only to see dozens of missed calls from my assistant. The moment I answered, she practically screamed into the receiver. "Wah! Boss, Emma's officially a mega-rich little princess now." She sent me a screenshot from WeChat. It was news. Turns out, the Fu family's official account had posted a statement late last night. It read, "Emma is not an illegitimate child, but the eldest granddaughter of the Fu family." As for me, the reason Ms. Clara's identity had not been revealed previously was because our CEO had not yet received formal recognition. Today, we officially declare that Ms. Clara is Mr. Ryan's fiancée. An engagement ceremony will be held soon. As I was reading, the bathroom door opened. Out walked a very fit man, with nothing but a towel wrapped around his waist, water still dripping from his hair. He approached me slowly, the steam from his shower still clinging to his skin. It was an atmosphere thick with tension. Then, he pulled out a massive diamond ring and slipped it onto my finger. "So, Miss Clara, when can you come with me to get our marriage certificate? Make me officially yours?" Extra. The night after we registered our marriage, one of Ryan's friends sent me a video. It was taken at some private club. In the video, the powerful, intimidating, always in control head of the Fu family, Ryan, was drunk out of his mind, face flushed red, hands covering his eyes as he sobbed like a kid. "She doesn't remember me. She just wanted the baby. I told her she was free to go. And she just left. She doesn't want me anymore. What do I do?" I stared at the video, caught between laughter and tears. So this was what happens when a man gets lovesick. What else could I do? We're married now. All I can do is treat him a little better from now on.